Guys, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday beading class. And thank you all for being here. Today is a fun design that can be earrings or an ornament. And it's a snowflake earring set, or like I said, ornament. And it's made with a series of stitches starting with brick stitch. And then it just goes into a really cool herringbone variation. So you can make this in any colors you want. I'm going to show you the recipe. But I made a red and I made some white snowflakes, and then I made one in our class colors that are easy to see, that are probably what I'll demo with, so what you guys can really see everything that's going on with the stitch. It's really easy. If you have any experience with brick stitch, you're going to find this really easy. Herringbone as well. But I'm going to go through the whole process of how to make it, and this will be available on replay. Like Felicia said, it'll probably be Monday because today's Friday. And so don't worry if when we're going too fast or something like that, don't worry about that, because you'll be able to just check that replay and watch it. And everything that I'm covering was also here in the handout, including everything that I used. All right, so I'll show you guys first the materials, and then we can just jump into how it's made. So you'll want to start with some 8mm crystal beads. I used on the samples a clear crystal because it just looked like ice. Thought that was really pretty. So that's what I started with on these. And on these two, I went ahead and pulled in a really bright red. So that one is another option. I thought about blue, just any color, sky's the limit. On the originals, I used two colors of Ada. In this case, it was just opaque white, and then I used a silver line crystal. And I used one color of 11-0, in this case, just metallic silver. And the last thing you need is bugle. So on the originals, I just went with white. So in summary, your recipe is you'll need a couple crystals, 8mm. You'll need 11-0 in one color, 8-0 in two colors, and then any color of bugle you want. So feel free to change that up. Go shopping, see something that strikes your fancy, and then go for that and create this in any colors. So for today, I was thinking I'll work on a red crystal. I have one of them open here. And I'm going to create a color that looks kind of like this. Now, if you like this other one I did, I'll show you my colors just really quick so you know what I used. Both of these use the red non-AB finish Czech. So this is the light cyan. So that color. And then on this one, my two colors of 8-0 are Silverline Gold and Red. My 11-0 is Silverline Gold as well. And then I brought in a red bugle. And that came out really cool. That's this one. And then for today, what I was going to do is a version of this kind. So these two are my 8-0 colors. I went with turquoise and I went with yellow. And then I'm going to use these, I think this is called a metallic silver metallic here for my 11-0. And then I was going to pull in some orange bugles because that would look really cool. So that's my recipe for today. 8mm bugle, 11-0, 2-8-0. All right, so you'll also need some thread. I did use frost on most of my designs. I'm demoing with black today, so that's what's going on here. But especially like if you're making this one, you definitely want to use frost. And it'll come out just like you see here. They're really pretty. And then you'll need a needle. So size 10, size 12, something around that size would work. I'm going to grab one of those here. And so the things we'll need later. We don't need them just yet, but at the end, you're going to want to pull in some findings just to hang them either on your ears or on the tree. These are 8mm jump rings and some fishhook ear wires. And then the tools you'll need, in addition to the needles, you'll need some scissors, of course, so we can cut our thread, and then chain nose pliers for doing the jump rings. That's it. That's everything. All right, so I'm just going to jump in because I mostly want to cover that first step. The first step is probably the only part that you'll find challenging. The rest of it is really enjoyable to stitch up. So start with about 55 inches of your thread. So you could always just do a wingspan and that will work out good. So I'm going to trim that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is we're working with Wildfire, so we get to use our threading the needle trick of flattening the end with some chain nose pliers, and then come along and put that right through the eye of the needle. It'll go through really easily. If you just flatten the end there and fold over a comfortable length so that you're not working with a super long strand. And on this design, you don't need much of a tail. What we're going to do is just bring it up into a few rows as we bead. So this is a cool way to do your weaving in for your tail thread while you're working the piece. So we're going to do that. The first thing we're going to start with is creating thread bridges on our crystal. So let's grab one of these out. And I like to double it. And the way I work it is I'll bring in, leaving a tail here of about, 7 inches is good for a tail. You could kind of get away with between 5 and 7 and 8, something like that. Like I said, all we're going to do is just keep bringing it up into the work. But you want to bring it through and then go around one side, creating a thread bridge, come back up through the bead. You go around the other side, creating a thread bridge on the other side, then overlay the work you did again. So you'll have a total of 2 strands on each side, and we'll stitch on it all the way around, just like it was a metal ring or a component. And so we'll do that with 11-0 first. You'll get a total of 15 beads, and then we'll switch to 8-0. You'll get a total of 14. If you are working with beads other than the sizes and brand I'm using here, which are Czech 11-0, Czech 8-0, these counts could be different for you. They could also be different if you're just using a usual finish, or if your tension was different, or if you switch the thread. So it's affected somewhat by things like that. And also if you're using a different 8mm bead, for example, that's not a problem to make the design work though. If you get close to these numbers, it's still going to work. You'll still get the same number of arms if you're going for the same number there. But the one thing I would recommend is try to end this second row with an even number, so your herringbone will work out. There's a way to get around it if you can't, but if you can end with an even number on this second row, the first one doesn't matter at all. But you know how you sometimes will get some leeway, and I'm going to show that as we go. You get some leeway with thread bridges to kind of finesse things. You can take advantage of that here to get yourself an even number, and your herringbone on this step will work out smoother for you. Okay, so let's start. So I've got my thread, got my crystal, and I'm just going to bring the needle up through the crystal. Again, I'm going to leave about a 7-inch tail or so. And just kind of hold on to it like that. And just come right back up through the bead. And the thread should hug the side of the bead. And make sure you guys get a really good view of that. And if this is not easy to see, I can switch that color. Seems like it's a little less bright than I was hoping. I'm gonna bring this down. There we go, see, that's a little better. I'm hoping that's okay. Let me give you a shout if you want me to switch to a white bead or another color. It was brighter before. I was checking it out. Actually, let's just see how this looks. Because I do want you guys to be able to see the thread bridge, and I'm feeling like that's just not coming over. All right, let's check this out. Here's my 7-inch tail again. Come back up through the bead. Watching out for that tail. Okay, that seems better. Let's go with this. And we're gonna go for 4 in total. We've only done 1. So there's 1 bridge there. Yeah, much easier. Thanks, Wanda. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so we'll go with that. So I like to do one side, then I come back over and do the other side. Then I'll cover up the first side, cover up the second side, and work my brick stitch on the side that I added a bridge to last. Keeps everything tight while I'm working without having to knot. If for some reason this isn't working for you and you try it, you can do a knot at this step. So right before you pull this through, you can knot it up, but I find it makes it too tight. I like to have the ability to get my needle under the thread bridge, especially if you're working with a bead you can scratch up. So consider trying this first, and then if it's just really too loose or not working, but stick with me because it really does work well. If you, it just kind of takes like, get the feeling for it, right? So I've got one, here's my other side. So here's two, oops. There we go. And that first one, you'll just have to kind of guide it. Just give it a little, you're going for Saturn's rings, just get it to sit on either side. You can always help it. The faceting helps a lot. So I did this side. So now I want to come over here. And the best way to do that is just turn it in your hand. Let's overlay that thread with one more. And it should stick right on top next to the other one. Same thing, I'm going to turn it in my hand and then come back up. Now I'm using just my thumbnail to make it kind of guide onto there. And there we go. So one more time, I'm going to turn it in my hand so that I can work down the side that I covered up last. And I'm going to need some 11OC beads. So this is the metallic silver color. Hopefully this is easy to see. I can switch to gold if it's not looking good, but you guys distinctly see there's two beads there. I'm picking up two to start. And here's the thread bridge that we just made. And I'm going to just bring my needle underneath. Just any old spot, right? And it's going to slide itself all around. So there it goes. And then come up through the second bead. So just head right underneath it. And you'll know what the underside is because it's the side the thread is coming out of and going under the thread bridge. So you're going for getting them to sit like that. Don't worry about the tilt of the bead if you've got any tilt there at all. We'll fix that when we join it. And from here on out, we're just going to go around with beads. And you can see where it is a little nicer that this isn't super, super tight from having been knotted for getting under it. And the cool thing about brick stitch is all the little tips and tricks that you might already know from doing brick stitch in general are going to shine on this too. The most notable of those are you can move it, you can slide it around, make it fit. And then when we get the second row on, when we add that second row, it's going to tighten up the circle around the bead because you know how like whenever you've done a brick stitch on a component, it's a little loose that first row, and then you add that second row, what happens is it's pulling on these thread bridges, so it tightens up everything below it. That's going to happen really beautifully on this design. Another cool thing about this is it's going to look cool at all the steps. So you could make the stopping point at every step and then just call that your earring. I want to show one thing that's happening right now. See how it's turning into like a more of a pie slice instead of a Saturn's rings? If it starts doing that to you, just go ahead and keep encouraging it because you want to get the circumference right. So just keep getting it to do that. It'll still probably work out even if you move it at the end, but why not do it now just so everything lines up? It's going to try to go in the direction you're coming under it from. So just by pulling back in the other direction, encouraging it to stay put. And you only really have to do that for the first side. Second side just kind of stays for some reason. I don't know why. Watch out for my tail. There we go. So there's side one. Once you've got the side one on, one of the coolest things about this is that when you're stitching around, you just jump to the next side and the beads will still form a perfect circle, a perfect ring. Even though technically we're going over the hole there, it really doesn't show too dramatically. I'm going to take the tail. This is a tip for how to do the weaving in, but here's my working thread. Set that down for a sec. Here's the tail thread. It's going to get in my way, my next step. So go ahead and just push it forward and then hold it under your finger against the bead. And then just hold it like that while we're doing the stitching, the next stitch. So just get it out of your way. Here's my next bead. we're going to jump over the hole on the bottom. Make sure you guys can see that. It seems like it's not. Here we go. Okay. So here's the hole on the bottom. I'm going to jump it with this bead on the needle ready to go, and then go under the other side. That's the thread bridge we made on the other side, and pull tight before we come up and go through this bead. So the next natural step, of course, being coming up, going under. But before I do that, I'm going to take this tail thread. You don't need to put a needle on it, especially with Wildfire. You just pinch that end, and let's just get it to go right there. Right up through the bead. Following it with my needle here, finishing the stitch. And there it goes. And you get this added bonus of being able to pull those apart. That little trick right there, I think, is the secret to beading on a bead. If you've ever struggled with getting bead on a bead to work out, try that. See how it's locking? It did two things. It moved that bead that I had anchored on the thread bridge on the other side of the hole. It moved it right above the hole with the bead. And now it's just right next to it. I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but that's the thing that, you know, you might not have seen in a pattern already that I feel like is part of the secret sauce, maybe, how to make that work. It works great with 8/0 too, if you're starting with 8/0. So let's just finish it. Let's pick up our next 11/0. This should go pretty quick. Get under that thread bridge and back up through the bead. All right. I'm going to try one little thing here. Let's do one stitch like this. Tell me if that's clearer, guys, for the visibility. You like the paper or the mat? Carmi and I were talking about it, and we're thinking that the camera tries to focus on the grains of the mat. Of course, my paper has grains too, but I can always flip that. You can try it. There's one. So far, almost there. Just keep going around. Get another bead. We've got about at least 2 more to go. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Lorena. Yeah, she's saying that looks clearer this way. We'll keep it like this. I think it's just a little easier to see maybe with the green color behind it. It's because it's a white bead. But so you'll get to a point where you've got room for 1, maybe 2 more. And let me just check the counts here. I'm going for 15. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've got 2 more to go. But as I was saying earlier, if for some reason you're finding that, yeah, it's not exactly matching in my counts from what you're doing, it's okay. You can get away with 1 too many, 1 too few, especially on this row. All right. I'm going to get 1 more in there if I can. And sometimes I find it just works out perfect, and other times you gotta finesse it. Get right under that. Okay, and just come right up through this bead. So now we've got to do a join. So to do a join, the first bead that we strung in this step, the very, very first one that was kind of like a little bit sideways, you want to just go down through that bead. So for us, it was that bead. And notice it's heading in kind of like a sideways direction. That's okay. I'm going to go under the thread bridge that is on the side you started on. So try to get underneath it. And at this point, it'll be getting a little tight. Go along a facet. Don't try to go like against a facet. But there we go. And then come up through that same bead, the one that you were just going down from. And jump right out. There we go. Okay. So at this step, I'm just going to put my thumbnail on that bead and then just pull kind of tightly. And it should pop right in place for me. If you've got any waviness, just kind of smooth it out over the bead. Just kind of try to pull it. And you should get something that looks just about like that. I was able to get 15, but again, if you didn't get exactly 15 this row, you don't need to worry about it. Just get as many as you think looks good to fit. And now we need some 8-0. So I'm gonna grab my 8-0 seed beads, grab this color here. And you guys, any color if you want. And just play with something that you like. And start with two beads on the needle. And let's take a look at our thread bridges. It is kind of cool, but it works out somewhat one for one. So skip the first one, which is going to be that one right there. I'm going to skip that one and go through the second one. And we're counting from the bead that our thread's coming out of. So thread bridge 1 was that one, and thread bridge 2 is this one. So that's what we're going for. And that's just the thread that's coming out of one bead going into the other when we say thread bridge. And then again, just going to go up through that second bead. First bead's going to do something wonky, and I'm not going to worry about it yet. Let's just keep going around. And at the moment, I'm just doing one for one, just getting around the bead. So pick up a bead, go under the next thread bridge. And if you can, select for some 8-0s that are roughly the same height. And watching for when that tail approaches. So this next bead that I'm bringing on, I think is going to have the tail brought up through it. So I'm still watching where my tail is. So here's where we are so far. And let's just bend it down, hold it out of the way. Keep working. Bring that through. Here's the tail. And again, I'm just gonna pinch the end of it and bring it up through that bead. Finish the stitch, bringing the needle up through the bead. And then again, we can do that tightening. This is another handy thing to know. Why do I want to know what bead is my very bottom? It can kind of be handy. If you ever want to do one of those styles where you join another cluster down here like that, that's something I'd like to do as a class coming up. So this would be a prereq for that, is to know how to get that center point clear, identified. Another way is if you're working with a clear bead like I am, you can just see it, right? You can see the thing running down. But if this was a gemstone or something where that was more hard to see, another way to identify it. And then this becomes something you need for securing it to do the next stitches around. So just pocket that one for now because we'll use it later. Now I'm just going around. Gotta rethread really quick. I lost my needle. There we go. So this part goes pretty quick once you get the hang of it. If you're struggling at all with it, just you know, take a quick look at them. You know, did I go to a different thread bridge? Or if you needed to finish your counts at all, you can share a thread bridge or skip one. And then always err on the side of extra space over crowding the bead. True for all brick stitch. If you get to a point where you feel like it's not big enough for one more, but might be able to get one more, but not really big, err on the side of not adding that extra bead, and you'll end up with something a little more easy to manage. It doesn't bunch as much. There you go. So I'm almost there. I've got room for one more bead and then I'll join it. And so the reason I say that is there's just really no way there's two more beads on there, right? I'm also going for an even count. So let's just double check that too. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I know I want an even count, so let's go with 14. I'll bring that on to the next one here. Now I've got 2 open thread bridges here. I went through the one that was adjacent to the last one I used. And now I've got an open thread bridge, which is one I haven't used yet. You guys can see it there hiding. And I've got a bead that I want to join. So it's perfect. So just going to go down through that first bead. And I'm going to try to point it kind of behind so I can get under the thread bridge from a comfortable, working spot for me. So here's that thread bridge we were just pointing out. It's right under there. And you guessed it, we're going to go right back up through that same bead that we just came down from. Super tight. There we go. All right. So there is a beautiful bead. And we know that our center points are this bottom part and this top one. So those are our center point beads. And that's all ready to go. So from here on out, it's easy and fast. That was the hard part. We're all done with that. And then again, this was recorded. So if there's anyone who is struggling with that, just know you'll be able to stop and pause it and watch it in real time, working with me when that replay comes out on Monday. So it'll be, especially if this is your first time trying it, you might want to play with it for a minute. And so that's the best way to do that. This next part is actually really easy, fun. It's all herringbone stitch. We're going to start with just working with that same color of 8-0 and putting on another layer. So it's the illustration you see right here that we're going to do next. And just go from whatever bead you're exiting. You just want to pick up 2 more 8-0 beads. And I'm exiting from this bead, so I'm going to just go down through the adjacent bead. Super easy there. And your beads will do the herringbone stitch thing. They're just going to kind of sit like that. Come up through the next bead in the ring. We're only working through these 8-0s now. Just going to go through those. 2 more. And I just want to go down through the next, up from the next one after that. Just that tail getting in the way. Let's just fold it back. 2 more. And up. Here's 2 more. Oops, sorry about that. All right, and let's take a look where that tail thread is. So it ended up kind of like right here. You can trim it now if you want to, or you can bring it up. And I'm going to bring it up through a few more. And I'm going to trim it after I top this with some 11-0. And it'll lock them out. So I went ahead and just brought it up through those beads there. Okay, let's keep going. There's 2 more. So you can kind of see why having that even count is going to come in really handy here in just a sec. And last one. Thanks, Lorena. Yeah, I love these. These are my favorite color of seed bead in 8-0s. They're just good, beautiful turquoise. came out such a nice color. So that right there is cute. And so every point along this way, I feel like, oh, I got an earring, because every single stopping point is actually really beautiful by itself. So it's so far just a little bit of a baby snowflake. All right, so we're gonna do in herringbone stitch, there's this thing that you call a step up that you do at the end of every round. And so we just finished a round. And so we're gonna go up through the next bead in the ring, which we're working here on this first ring of 8, right? We just came down through this one. So we're gonna go up through the adjacent. And once you do that, if you can get through it in one swoop, go for it, but try to get through the bead that's right above it that we added. And that's your step up from the round we just created. So there's that, stepped up. And I'm gonna grab the 11 O's again. So the next round looks like this. And I'm gonna put the 11 O seed beads in the same herringbone stitch we've been doing, but in between every go down through the next bead, come up through the next one, pick up another seed bead in a different color. So I'm going to grab the next color of size 8, have those ready. So as we add this row, we can embellish it in between. And I'm going to go back to working with the silver that we have here. So now we've got 2 8 colors and 1, still working with that same one. You can change it now though if you want. If you want a different color, go for that and it'll look cool. Okay, so here's the 11 O's. You want to pick up 2? And go down through that bead there. It's the next one in the herringbone stitch area here. So they're just going to sit side by side like that. And now I'll need the next color of 8 O. And then come up through the next herringbone stitch. So you're going to get a nice little round pattern here. Next to 11 O, another 8 O, and then up through. Pops those right in the middle. And as you're doing this round, keep it a little bit loose. Don't pull super, super tight. When we come around on the next round, we're going to be trying to get underneath these 11 O's. So don't make them really, really tight. Just gently get them to sit like that. And I'm going to add the 11 O's for this round, and then I'm going to trim this tail. It's a good spot to trim it. And if you want to, you could knot it or weave it in. I've done neither in all my designs, and they've been fine so far. If it makes you a little nervous to trim it after this, but you don't want to weave in, you can do a knot here. And so if you do that, just do a gentle knot because you don't want to tighten or cinch anything going on here. I'm just going to do a single one. Get those beads back. Both those sit side by side. Here's my next 8 O bead coming up through here. Oops. And let's get rid of the tail really quick. So my scissors, I put them right over here. And make sure you cut the right one. I've done this before too. But if you just push down and pull up on that tail thread, it should go right over and pop right back into the bead. And so now that is out of the way. It's going to be a lot easier. And I'm just going to finish the round. Just gently adding those 11 O's, getting a really cool transition color bead in 8 O to do this jump here. Last one. These beads are just running away from me. There we go. Okay. So there's our last 11-0 ad for this round, and we're just going to grab one more 8-0 in that pretty yellow. And here's the step up. Step up meaning I'm going to continue through the first 11-0 we added in that round. And so that one's done. And there's another really pretty stopping point. If you like it, you can go make a loop, put in your wire on it, and that one's cool too. To make it turn into a snowflake with arms, each of the arms is now going to be built by itself. I found that was a lot easier than going around because it started to get really thick here when I tried to build the first one. So this is easier than doing that. And it's single column herringbone and it goes quick, but you just go ahead and add on, start with a single row of 8-0, 11-0, the bugle, another 11-0, and then a turning bead at the top, a little picot. So this looks complicated, but it's actually really, really easy. I'm just going to show you really quick. And then I have a worked ahead sample because I want to be able to show you finishing it. Got one that's just got one left to do. But here's how you turn this into that. Okay, so starting from here, exiting from that 11-0, go ahead and grab two more 8-0 beads. And I went back to working with the original color, but you don't have to. You can switch, or you can work the yellow here, whatever you like the look of. In the handout, it'll tell you to go back to S8A, size 8A. And so you just want to get it to sit like that, like going down through the adjacent 11-0. And I'm going to turn and come back up through the 11-0 that's next to it and go up through the bead. So that's just single column herringbone. And you can kind of see we're keeping that stitch a little loose, so it's going to really help us now. So there's that. Get that to stay there. Do one more 11-0 pair of 11-0, and then come down through the 8-0 that we just added. So just that one. Up through the adjacent. And then through the 11-0 we just added. So see, it's just growing and growing. So flatten that down. And time for bugles. Orange bugles are what I'm using now, but I used white on the original and then red on the other inspiration sample. And this is where it really gets its height. So anything that you like to do here. And another tip is try to pick up two that are about the same height. Let me show you why really quick. If you pick up some that are a different height, even if they're only off by a smidge, you're going to get it's not going to stay pointed straight out, right? Like this one should be going straight out, but it's kind of bending a little bit. And that's because one of my bugles is a little bit shorter. So I still think it looks cool and I'm not worried about it. But if you want it to be perfect and that's something you're looking at and maybe you're not liking, make sure they're the same height and that can help. So let's do that here. Let's look for some that are super, super close. I like those. These two are really close. I'm going to go with those. So just two. And then down through just the 11-0 here. And that's the one adjacent to where your thread's coming out. And you'll get something that's doing that. Grab the first bugle. And just as you pull on it, the other will fall in place. And then just bring your thread down. It'll do something like that for you. Come up through that 11-0 that's next to the one we're coming down. You continue through the bugle there. And when you pull all of that, you'll get an arm. We only have one herringbone row left here. Just another 11-0 embellishment. And feel free to change this, guys. This was just the pattern I made up, right? You could do any pattern here. choose a different color bead, choose a different size bead. Anything here is fine. You could do another, it would get kind of crazy, but you could even do another set of bugles. If you're using Wildfire, it'll probably hold shape. But there's where I stopped. And at this point, I added a turning bead to embellish it, which also has the added bonus of being big enough to get a jump ring through at the end. So that's why I went with 8-0. Because you can get that jump ring and it just makes it hang right from one of the points. If you like that, go for it. If you want to change it, you can change it to something else. But I just picked up one 8-0 bead. And now I'm going to try to get through all the beads in the side, all the way down to the first herringbone set. So see, I went down through all those beads. And make sure you got through them all. Sometimes it's really easy to miss them. All the way down. And I'm going to help that just kind of sit in a point. And that's one. So let's do one more. To turn, go through the 8-0 bead that's next. See the one that we added in between the rounds when we were doing that 11-0. Come up through the next set of herringbone, which is this 8-0. And if you can get through the next 11-0 in one swoop, go for that. And we need to add 2 8-0. So we just went down adjacent 11-0 there. They'll need adjacent one. And help those stay kind of in place like that. And then you need to just get through the 11-0 that's next to it. So that's the one right there. And I already got through the 8-0 bead, which was great. That's what I wanted. And there's that. If you have it where it's not exactly as you want it, you can always tighten by just put your thumbnail and then just pull. It'll tighten up a lot. 11-0 is next. Let's do that. So here's 2 11-0, and you just need to go through the 8-0. This will be super easy. And this looked really, really sparkly with the white next to it when I was doing the white snowflake. It just made the silver lining stand out. So I thought that was really neat. So here's one. And a pretty good match. And you'll have no trouble finding a match. I mean, they're pretty much all really, really close. You're just going for perfection there. Do the second one. Tighten that. Here's 2 more, 11-0. Oh yeah, that's a great idea, Sandy. Sandy is saying to put these as a on the gift tag for gifts. That would be so cool. And I just need to put one turning bead here at the top. And again, let's get all the way down through. Try to get through all the beads if you can. You can always come back through and maneuver, but I do think that's easier. Just getting through all of them. And then pull tight. And maneuver to the next position. So to do that, you just go through the 8-0 in yellow here. And then the first 2 beads of that herringbone segment there. And then pull tight. Okay, so you would repeat that all the way around, that same step. And I've got one more to do here on this one. Set this one over here. This also to me kind of looks like a sunshine. So this could become a sun catcher in the summer. Really fun changing those colors up. You can put drops on it, make it look like rain. But this one's got only one left to do. And I'm going to start with 8-0. For some reason, when I worked this one this morning, I worked with a really tight hand. And so this one is going to be a little tougher for me to maneuver my 11-0. So I'm going to show you a trick for if you got a little overzealous with your tension. And those 11-0s are super, super tight. Don't try to tighten the 8-0s as much just yet. You want to keep an eye on which one is coming out of which bead. And then try to get through the 11-0. And one way to do that might be to just kind of stab into the 8/0 bead and turn your needle in your hand. So it's a little tricky, but it looks like this. Just kind of pushing the wrong direction in order to turn. And there it goes. So all that was just to get through a really tight 11/0. They're almost kind of facing each other. All right. And that, yeah, that's where you can accidentally get hurt by your needle. So definitely be careful there. And I want to make sure I keep track of which one of these was coming out of which bead. And it was this side. So I want to go through this one. And then here, just tighten it. And once you have that row on, it will straighten out the row below. You'll have no problem. But if you've made it really tight on that round where we recommend going easy, it'll just be a little bit snug here. Still work, but you have to kind of make it turn. Okay, so here's 2 more 11/0. And that's coming up through the next 8/0 here. Okay, just need 2 more bugles. Let's grab these 2. Those 2. Yeah, these ones are good. Okay. Oh, thanks, Felicia. Yeah, we're gonna do ornaments again next week. Is it next? Oh, next week is American Thanksgiving. The week after that, I think. There we go. For some reason, getting to that 11/0 is a little stubborn. And I need 1 more set of 11/0 just to top off those bugles at the top there. The cool thing about single column herringbone is it tightens up the base of every pair that you added before. So it kind of makes them sit more parallel. The holes anyway. The direction the holes are running, more parallel. All right, so there's the last wand. You can call it a wand or an arm. And then let's get the 8/0 bead. Bring that down. All we have left to do is weave in and put our ear wire on it. Or ornament hook, or any will work. I'm still trying to get through all those beads. There we go. There we go. Okay. So there's our snowflakes / sunshine / star, all things. And I'm going to go ahead and weave around. You can even go back down into the base here, the base row of 8/0 that we had that was actually brick stitched, and use that as a way to turn. But from here, it doesn't actually matter too much where you go. And I'm going to show one other little trick in case this part is really hard, because this is all very tight and maneuvering through this might not be pleasant. And if you don't want to do that, one thing you can do is just get through the next arm, and we'll do a little knot. I know any video out there is like, no knots. Okay, so from here, you get through 1 more set of 11/0 here. It actually got through the 8/0 as well. That's okay. All right, so it's easier to do an arm just because you can see the thread on the side a little bit easier, but go ahead from the bead you're exiting, which for me is this 8/0 bead, and pick up the thread bridge that goes from it to the bead that it's next to. So that's this thread bridge right here. And then go ahead and just come up through that loop you made before it closes and pull tight. And so you can do that in a spot like this and go through the next bead before you trim it. Go through a few beads. Let's see if I can even get through this top one here. And you can repeat that around, maybe go down and knot again, or I'm just going to trim here just so we can show the next part, but that's one way to do it. The other way is just to go in circles for a little while, up and down through the beads, maybe use a threadbridge to turn. All those things will work great. And there is a finished one. So we need some findings. Let's grab 8mm jump rings. Now I just need to chain those pliers. And I'd like to also get some of my, when I do jump rings, I like bent nose. So however you like to do your jump rings, but I like to use one extra tool in addition to the regular chain nose. Okay, and so finding the seam. The seam on this one is like right up here. So I'm just gonna hold one side, grab the bent nose pliers and open that up. It's going for something like that. And then let's just go through the seed bead here. And I hope I grabbed the right jump rings. There's a couple of versions out there, so here we go. I might have grabbed the bulky ones. Let's see which these are. 8mm. 691. 691. Grab 691. Wonder if the silver lines are a little bigger. Let's take a look. I've got over here looks a little thinner. I'm going to try one more. I might have accidentally grabbed a pack with just a little bit of a thicker jump ring. So apologies, guys. Test your jump rings. Make sure they fit. Mine are not fitting today. Let's see what else I got. I'm going to borrow this one. So the gauge on the jump ring, you're going to need something that's closer to 22 or it's going to be a little big. I believe the ones I have here are maybe more of a 20 gauge. I apologize, I should have double checked that, but so the goal is to get one to fit through there, and then you'll just link another jump ring to the top of that one. And you can either go with a fish hook ear wire like I've done here, or you can go and add like your Christmas tree ornament hook. And I wonder if a Christmas tree ornament hook might not also fit through. I happen to have one because we're going to teach this class in our next Friday beading class, which is this pretty ornament. I'll hold it up at the end. It's a little hard to see, but I happen to have a regular hook for the tree. Let's see if I can get that through. I got these at Michael's in the decor section. They're safer for kids because they're not, they got some kind of rubberized coating on them, so they're not sharp. Like, you know, some of the ones that are like really sharp out there. All right, let's see if I can get it through. My dream was that it would work. So maybe metal ones, the good old unsafe metal ones might be better. But just try it, see what you can get through there. Or an alternative would be when we were adding our, let me bring this one back. You could, at this point, put 2 11-0 instead of one of these on the part where you're going to do your suspension and go through the jump ring and then come down through here. So a couple options. Another thing that just popped in my head is wire guardian. This would be a good width for a wire guardian too. You could even kind of adjust them to sit side by side to it. I liked the bead, so it might be worth just searching out some 22 gauge jump rings. But yeah, so that's the finished one right here. I'm gonna move those up here. Yeah, those are definitely a little smaller gauge.
Danielle?
Yeah.
Just so everyone has a sense of how big they are, would you just slowly put it in the palm of your hand so they can see how big they are?
They're about that big. There's I I can measure it. Would measuring help?
Just, it's nice to see it in your hand. Thank you.
Some scale there. Yeah, these are really, they came out so pretty. I had a good time making them. And I like the way they look, even just without the extra arm on it, just that step where you've got that pretty little embellished bead. And I thought maybe playing with counts, you might be able to get a crystal in there too. So that's something I want to try next and see if that works out. If someone else thinks of any other ideas, please share. And if you try that idea with a crystal, please share it to our Facebook group. I'm hoping to see that. Hoping somebody tries it. We have, like I was saying earlier, we have class next week. Not next week because it's Thanksgiving, but the week after that. Is it Thanksgiving's next week, right? Next Thursday in America.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. See, I was, because I work with you guys, so like next week's in a
I know. You're on Canadian hours now.
Yeah. But this is next week's class. Or sorry, December 1st. That's what we're teaching on December 1st. It's a cool ornament. And I might have some surprises to show that day because I didn't get to this without some trial and error. And so there's some other ideas. This ended up looking like kind of like it goes on a fishnet. I don't know why. It belongs in like a seascape Christmas, maybe like somebody who does a seashell tree or something like that. So I'll share how I did that. It was the opposite way of doing this. But the whole concept of netting is a really fun exploration. And so I think we will have a good time that day, just talking about all the things you can do because it's kind of limitless. What else? We have then a bubble class. So this was a request that I got from a couple of you guys to do a bubble stitch. And it's a kind of an easy technique that it's just even count peyote. It's getting into the finessing of tension, and I have some tricks that I'll share for how you can get it to really, really, really pop and lock in place if that's what you're going for. Because they're literally like 3D. And you can get it to do different things based on different counts and different tension tricks. And the counts of each segment make a really big difference. So we can chat about all that stuff. And then, yeah, that's what I have here in front of me. I do have a knotting class that I was going to do for a classic pearl knotting. That'll be our last December class. I'll have that finished sample with me next week. I'm still working on putting the finishing touches on that one. It's already ready on the website though. You can go sign up for it. All right, any questions from you guys? Otherwise, I'll wish you a great rest of your Friday and happy weekend. Happy beading. And we'll see you guys on next week, or sorry, after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all my friends in the US. All right, bye guys.